everybody.
Hi, guys. Well, from getting chilly Salt Lake City,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up on today's show, everyone, there is a woman here in Utah who is facing charges of...
I think you mean a pervert.
of indecency.
Lewdness.
Because her stepkids saw her topless. And she didn't run immediately in shame and start crying.
She didn't scream, cover up, and slap the kids for having wandered in or whatever.
And if she had done that, she'd probably be fine.
She'd probably be fine. If she had hit the kids for seeing her nipples, everything would be okay. But instead,
this
she didn't make
story.
She didn't make a big deal out of it.
Absolutely outrageous story.
Yeah.
And so we thought that we would kind of dissect it, talk about some of the issues,
Yeah.
whatnot in the second half of the show.
So titties.
Titties.
Coming up on the second half of the show, it's some titties.
Something else that you might have noticed coming in on the show.
Yeah.
And you know, half our shows up to this point, at least for a while, have been ad-free. Today's show was ad-free thanks to the fact that we just hit our third goal in our campaign to become exclusively listener supported. So that means that 3/4 of the shows are now ad-free. We're going to get to our thanks and everything later, but just a preliminary thanks.
We're 3/4 of the way to being completely
listener supported.
And that means that
amazing.
the rest of you, though, you know, the last wave of you who have been thinking about donating but haven't quite done it yet.
Yeah.
If you decide to become a patron now, you could be the final nail in the advertising coffin on TGIA.
Yeah.
And then and help us become entirely listener supported. Nobody will have to listen to ads ever again if we can just maintain it at the level that we're trying to get to.
Yeah.
So just go to thankgodimatheist.com and you can find the place to do that.
Yeah. And we
Just stop the show now and do it, and then come back to the show. We'll be right here when we get back. Just do that.
All right.
Okay, go.
All right, Dan.
Okay,
All right.
fine.
Just
Fine.
Calm
Tell
down,
us.
Dan.
Fine.
It's very exciting, but calm down, Dan. Well, I want to start with a follow-up story of sorts.
Yeah.
Continuation of the
Okay.
story that I brought to the show last week.
Ooh.
About BYU Idaho, and they're dropping Medicaid
Yeah.
as an acceptable insurance for their students.
Because poor people don't deserve education.
Yeah, well, this week the story continued.
Uh-huh.
As these stories, I suppose, do. I think one of the things that sort of what I think an important detail that we missed last week that I want to hit before I get to how the story has continued is the fact that this move by BYU Idaho actually coincides with Idaho's Medicaid expansion, which was passed by Idaho voters last year.
Right.
And it goes in effect in January. BYU Idaho has actually issued a statement that says that the reasoning behind dropping Medicaid as an acceptable insurance is because they did not want to overwhelm local medical facilities with Medicaid patients.
Oh.
Because all of their students would have immediately dropped their other insurance and signed up on Medicaid.
Yeah.
Due to this expansion. Now this is a political move by some uber conservatives.
Yeah.
In the BYU Idaho administration.
They're grumpy that the Medicaid expansion passed.
They voted against it.
They don't even know why they hate it. They just think that it's going to increase everybody's taxes, and that's the worst thing that could happen.
Right. And so
they're punishing children.
And yeah. So that was interesting. Also, a development that happened at the student newspaper, the BYU Idaho student newspaper, which is called The Scroll.
Oh.
The members of the student newspaper have been told by the administration that the newspaper's funding could be at risk if they cover this controversy.
What?
This is according to a recording of a staff meeting that was obtained by an Idaho newspaper.
Oh, I love it.
So essentially,
oh, they are pissed right now.
so the Idaho media is now like, this is not that is not something you want to do to a student-run newspaper, because
No.
the entirety of your professional media is now going to hate you, and is going to gleefully report on this, you trying to stifle the students' First Amendment rights, to report on stuff that's going on their campus,
Right,
important
exactly.
issues that the student body is actually facing,
Right.
right, and so let's see.
And Idaho is very Mormon, but not as Mormon as Utah. So going up against the church is something that they will do happily.
Right. An unnamed Scroll staffer said was quoted in this article as saying, basically the deal is there are people that would be very happy to cut Scroll funding in the Kimball Administrative Building, and so we keep getting told not to poke the bear. Apparently, also staff at the university's radio station KBYI. It's in a different department from Scroll.
Yeah.
But they've also been told by the administration not to cover the controversy.
Yeah.
And then this has led the Idaho Press Club to issue a statement in support. It says, if a university is confident in its decisions, it shouldn't stifle coverage of them. The Idaho Press Club unequivocally stands by student reporters. Let's see. Student media exists not only to teach budding reporters, but also to inform the campus community. Let's see. Other good things. The Idaho Press Club encourages the administration to stay out of the way of student coverage. Fascinating.
Yeah.
This is what any powerful institution that owns any piece of media is going to do.
Right.
They are going to try to control the coverage.
Right.
And this is why the Fourth Estate, an independent press, is so fucking important. These kids are getting quite the lesson, actually.
Yeah.
In freedom of speech, freedom of the press.
Right.
It's
it's so fun. I mean, money talks.
Yeah.
But it's not supposed to in this case. And
right.
What's really fun is that what we've got here, because I tend to think that BYU Provo, like BYU, not the satellite BYU Idaho, but BYU itself,
right.
They'd be smarter about this. I think that they wouldn't be as overt about it. I think what's nice is that what we have here is a satellite campus that is probably run by less savvy people.
Well, here's the deal, and this was part of the article that we talked about last week, which actually I just said some things that kind of contradict this, but they said last week that this decision was made in Salt Lake City.
Oh, right.
At the church office building.
Right.
And so what it feels like to me is they tested the waters.
Yeah.
Out where they thought that maybe it might be safe, right?
Right.
In rural Idaho. Let's see how it goes up there. If we get backlash, then of course we won't do it at BYU.
Right.
And BYU Hawaii.
Right.
And I think there's another BYU. Isn't there a third satellite now? Maybe not.
I'm not aware of one.
I don't think there is. I think it's just those two. But nonetheless,
they've got a bunch of Amish dressed men on the moon who attend BYU-M.
No, I think that it was probably a much more insidious and thoughtful.
Well, and
process.
again, decisions being made by people who aren't professional administrators in higher education. They're you know what I mean? They're former businessmen who now run the business of a church.
Right.
And so they may not be aware of the wasp's nest that they're swatting at.
And I think that the Mormon Church has always relied on a population of people, Mormons, who would basically just do whatever they were told.
Right.
If they were told that Medicaid is bad, right?
Right.
And that you shouldn't be on it. And that's why we're not letting you use it here at the school. I think that the in the past, they were far more willing to just go along with
They'd
it.
be inclined to just say, okay.
Yeah, but they're so easy to get in touch with their cousin or whomever down at BYU and be like, what's going on down there? Have they done the same thing? Well, why are they picking on us?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And realize that it's not the church. It's an administrative thing.
Yeah.
Although, of course, it's the church. But
so weird. Just because you did that story, I'm bumping up one of my stories to be right after it. I was going to do a different order,
that's
but
fun.
I wanted
Show's happening live.
That's right. We can make decisions on the fly, people. On the fly.
Woo!
So this is Boston College
Uh-huh.
up there in Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts.
Okay.
I didn't realize that Boston College was a Jesuit school. Did you realize that? Did you know that?
No.
Okay, so two of us didn't know. That's fine. It's a good school. Now the Jesuits, as I'm sure you're aware, the current pope is a Jesuit.
I didn't know that. Was that one of the things I was supposed to be aware of?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying. But the Jesuits themselves, like they're a monastic order that is very interested. That has always been very scholastically interested. And
Yeah.
and actually they tend to be rigorous.
Yeah.
In their scholar.
When I was a freshman in high school in California, I ran cross country, and there were a number of Jesuit schools in our area, and the kids were required to do some kind of sport. So of course their cross country teams were huge,
Right.
Because not everybody wants to play the other sports,
Right.
And so
That's the one where you
can
don't
just
have
go
to run. You don't have to run fast. You just run
You just run, right?
for a while.
And so they would always have these ridiculous teams. Good luck beating the Jesuits. running faster and longer.
But also they're studying the whole time. They've got a book in hand the entire time they're running.
Just so studious.
They're just so Here's the thing. There's I don't know. I could be wrong about this. This is just an impression I've always had. But in the Jesuit tradition, like for instance, the current pope believes in climate change. You know what I mean? Like that's even if they're more interested in the truth and a sense of integrity than other religious people tend to be.
Oh, okay. I was wondering how that sentence was.
I was not going to end it with than anything. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're still indoctrinated into their church and whatever. But
of course.
But they tend to have a stronger bent toward integrity and intellectual honesty than a lot of religious folk.
Huh.
To the point where a group of campus of students on campus are protesting vehemently for the political science college not to accept a very large grant from the Koch Foundation.
Oh, whoa, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that I think that is fascinating. The Koch brothers, well, brother now, one of them has died.
The Koch.
The Koch. I don't remember which one is still alive. David? Nope. David died. Charles is the one that's still alive.
Charles Koch.
Both of them, when they were both alive, were estimated at almost $60 billion net worth.
Stupid.
And they are the monetary driving force behind American conservative politics.
Yeah. They're cuckoo because they also are like huge donors to PBS.
Yeah. Well, they're very
and like Nova.
Yeah.
There's always a Koch Foundation thing. Like it's funny, right?
Right.
It's not exactly what you would expect. Where all the places their money goes, it can sometimes be surprising.
Right.
But anyway,
and
you are correct.
And
they
a lot of
funded
people
this move to the right.
And a lot of people have wondered, well, why can't they just give money to a college? What would be the problem with that? But the problem is that even if they say there are no strings attached, there are always strings attached. Or if not strings, then what happens is once a college starts accepting money from an organization, especially if it's a sizable sum, and they start relying on that money,
Right.
then the organization can come in and say, well, we would like you to start considering this, this, and this in your hiring practice, or that we would like you to start teaching this, this, and this. And it becomes this pressure that they may not cave to initially, but it works. Like, this is a thing that really happens. And it's been shown to happen at a couple of colleges. Documents were released last year from George Mason University, which is the biggest university beneficiary of the Kochs.
Huh.
That the Koch Foundation had input in the hiring and firing of professors in exchange for millions of dollars.
What?
So yeah, I mean, it's a concerted effort. Florida State University, there was a scandal. They accepted $1.5 million.
That's unacceptable.
That funded 2 new faculty positions teaching political economy and free enterprise, which ends up being which they end up overseeing who gets hired for these positions, and then they've got their own people, sort of plants, put into the education system.
Yeah.
Similar things at Arizona State, Utah State University. It's just one of those things where this is a concerted effort and a very specific effort to get a political agenda to be served on college campuses across the country. So an interesting thing, and really interesting, that a religious university, a university with a religious affiliation,
Right.
Boston College, is the students are using their Jesuit values, they say,
Right.
to say, no, we don't want this.
Interesting.
We don't want climate change denial. We don't want, and they're basically saying this is they're asking us to just deny reality, and we won't do it.
Well, good on them.
Climate change is big for the Koch brothers because the Kochs got all their money off of oil. So,
Oh my God.
they have a vested interest in people not believing that human caused climate change is real.
And they know.
Oh, they know.
They know. That's the worst, Dan.
That's what makes them evil.
All right, Dan.
Yeah.
Barna. The Barna Group.
The Barna Group.
Barna. That's how I always say it.
You're saying it the way Trump says China. China.
Barna. Here's a report from the Barna.
Okay. That is a religiously affiliated polling group.
Yes.
And
And considered to be
analysis.
sort of on the right of the political spectrum.
Right.
Yes.
But still largely they're not like tainted.
Yeah,
They still do
their
decent
reports
work.
don't sort of seem to foam at the mouth.
Yeah.
They're not, you know what I mean? Like they're
not trying to skew the results one way or another.
Yeah, I actually find some of the things that they're looking at to be quite fascinating, and I don't see their results of the results of their studies to be necessarily problematic.
Right.
By and large, the ones that I've paid attention to. But anyway, very interesting look at Americans' perception of evangelicals. How do U.S. adults view the evangelical community as a whole? And so this is really kind of fascinating. Basically, about, I think it was like 30%, or only 30% of Americans have favorable views of evangelicals.
Well, there you go.
Now there is like neutral views,
Right.
in here, which is actually the largest group.
Sure.
Is just people who are just sort of neutral about them. A quarter of the population actually finds or has very negative views about evangelicals. But let's break down some of these numbers because they're really kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So it will not be surprising that amongst all U.S. adults, so they kind of, this is nice. They've broken the numbers down between all U.S. adults. non-Christians, practicing Christians, and evangelicals.
Okay.
Right? They're presenting us with all of those numbers. And so let's see. I should not surprise anyone that evangelicals sort of view themselves very highly.
Right.
They
are God's chosen people.
right. 61 excuse me. 61% of evangelicals feel that the evangelical community is caring. 57% of evangelicals feel that they're hopeful. 57% friendly, 52% generous.
Wait, they're not breaking 60% on any of these?
Yeah, isn't that funny? While
Of their own group?
yeah, it's
Wow.
yeah, I know. These numbers are horrendous for them. They don't use negative descriptions. 5% describe themselves as narrow-minded.
Oh, okay.
2% uptight. 1% homophobic. 1% misogynistic.
Sure. Oh, come on. Just admit the homophobic. Like, I just don't like that word. I mean, I hate queers, but I don't like the word homophobic. I'm not afraid of them. I'll beat them up. I don't care.
Let's see. Typically, let's see. Adults, amongst all U.S. adults. These are some of the common descriptors. Amongst the favorable perceptions, 23% for caring, 22% for friendly, 22% for hopeful, 20% for encouraging. 21% say narrow-minded, 17% homophobic.
Wait, who are these? Who's saying this?
This is amongst all the population.
And only 20% say they're narrow-minded?
Well, yeah. I mean, it also includes evangelicals. This is everyone.
Oh, this is everyone's view on
everyone
everybody?
else. This is everybody's view on evangelicals, including the evangelical numbers mixed in.
Yeah, I just think that everybody knows that they're narrow-minded.
Well, I think that amongst us, yes, the 25% who view them, negatively. Now, this is the fascinating thing is it was something like 45% of all respondents had very neutral feelings about evangelicals.
Sure.
Right. And so, I mean, when you add up all these numbers, now Barna does claim that evangelicals only make up 6% of the U.S. population.
Wow.
Whereas, and they acknowledge this in the opening. They say whether evangelicals only make up just 6% of the U.S. population, as Barna's legacy tracking of the group suggests, or whether they comprise a larger share of the public, as other polls which use different measures indicate.
That's shocking to me. That number seems so desperately low, but it could just be, I mean, I totally acknowledge that could seem that low just because they squawk so fucking loud.
Yeah.
And we hear about them all the goddamn time, and politicians kowtow to them like they're the most important people in the world.
Right.
That's insane, though.
Right. Barna's saying it's actually quite a small number. Now,
6% is low.
Now, I think you get
that's lower than atheists. Like,
right.
Out and out atheists, not just nuns, but atheists.
Right. But I think that a lot of us paint all conservative Christians as evangelical. That we might be misusing that word. Right.
That's fair.
Because I would almost, in a way, I mean, Barna might have some interest in suppressing that number. I don't know what it would be, but I would almost trust somebody on that side to give me a better definition of who's what, right? Because they've spent the time and they care to pay attention to actually how these things would break down.
Right.
Whereas I don't really give a fuck. I know that there's just too many of them.
Right. Yeah.
Whether it's 6% or 25%, it's either number's too big.
Right.
But anyway, some of these, you'll be surprised that like no evangelicals call themselves foolish, but the amongst the all U.S. adults, let's see, or maybe that's the non-Christian number. About 10% do. Actually, no, it's more like 13%ish. It looks like it's on a very narrow graph. Of course, racist comes up. There's a strong perception that they're racist. Evangelicals, though, about 20% report feelings of being misunderstood.
Yeah.
Which is always kind of an interesting one.
By their damn selves.
But the question that Barna is really asking is, what does this mean for, because some of the other findings have to do with how they're politically connected, right? And so, for example, that we paint them all as being politically conservative and politically active, and that's sort of their brand.
Yeah.
Right. And because of that, because they've created this brand of like conservative, religious, political activism, that essentially this is a risky place for a religious organization to be. And that's what Barna's saying. It's actually, they're actually sort of trying to create this, like they're trying to call out to the evangelicals and be like, you might want to slow down a little bit.
Pump the brakes.
Yeah, because you're hurting your brand. The rest of the country is seeing you in a way that you don't, as a religious organization, probably don't want to be perceived. You don't want to be perceived as more of a political movement than a religious movement.
Right.
And I wholeheartedly see them as a political movement.
Oh, yeah.
Like there's,
that's because all of their leaders have tied them so deeply into the politics of our country that they're indistinguishable.
But what they like when they say that they believe that they're, you know, like the end of this article talks about their actual like definition of what is an evangelical.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, fuck them. No, that's not.
Yeah.
Like, these are politically interested, you know, and craven people. And but the fact of the matter is that's not the population, right? The population, they might hear the political speak over the pulpit, right?
Yeah.
And they don't object to it. So they're obviously they're a little complicit.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and they're being
the whole thing.
They're being told there's a constant drumbeat of get out and vote, and here's how you vote.
Right.
It's a constant like boom, boom, boom. They hit it so hard,
right,
that it's hard. You know, it's hard to see them as anything else.
Right. But that's not how they see themselves.
Well,
right. And that's not what they think is the most important thing about who they are.
I had to even look up. I just looked up what counts as evangelical.
Yeah.
Just because I wanted to. And the main movements of the modern evangelical church currently are Baptist, Pentecostal, Charismatic, Neo-Charismatic, and then non-denominational evangelicalism, according to Wikipedia.
That group has to be more than just 6% of the country.
Yeah, Wikipedia has them at 25, at about a quarter of the country.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know exactly how Barna, what their legacy.
Yeah, what are they up to? Those
figures are.
Something's getting squirrely over there. They're defining it much more narrowly.
Yeah, well, they have
Barna's narrow-minded. That's who's narrow-minded.
So here's how Barna works, though. They actually don't ask you to say whether you're evangelical or not when you're identifying. They ask you to. This is my understanding of this whole thing, that they ask you if you agree with a certain set of things.
Oh, okay.
Right? Are these your beliefs?
Huh.
Right? And then if you answer correctly, then you're an evangelical.
Okay. Well, I don't know that that's a good way of doing that. Anyway, I'm going to take us to the Deep South, where in Mobile, Alabama, a campus magazine, the magazine Due South, was going to put out a special edition of their magazine.
Oh, okay.
And their printer denied it. The printer said, no, thank you.
Printer says no.
Printer says no. Anyway, apparently this printer is a good Christian printer.
Uh-oh.
And this special edition of the magazine,
is it like a swimsuit edition,
is a gay wedding cake just waiting to happen.
Well, what?
It was a diversity edition. So
Oh no.
they talk a little bit about LGBTQ issues, but they also they feature a woman wearing a hijab. They have a drag thing, a couple drag queens or something like that. It was all about just diversity and sort of, kids on campus who have different points of view or whatever. And yes, apparently diversity is not a good Christian value.
Oh God.
Apparently they haven't read the red letter parts of the Bible. And so the printer decided to take their stand. I think that the magazine itself is not actually associated with the university.
Okay.
But I am not sure on that. It was difficult to tell from the article that I'm taking this from, but I will say that the university is taking the wrong approach to this, which is to say that the University of South Alabama, this is their statement. The University of South Alabama is committed to the principles of freedom of expression and exchange of different points of view. They say, we respect our students for having the courage of their convictions. They say.
Okay.
At the same time, we also respect the rights of individuals and private businesses to make decisions that are consistent with their values. It is our hope that healthy and constructive dialogue can emerge from differing perspectives. You fucking liars. You are just bullshit. You need to... the correct stance on this is so easy.
Yeah.
We know how this is supposed to work.
Right.
If you're open for business, you're fucking open for business. And you print the goddamn magazine, and you don't care what the content is unless it's inciting violence or whatever.
Right. Or dangerous pornography.
Or illegal.
Right.
Or whatever. Like there are reasons why you would deny printing something.
Or even if printing pornography in your jurisdiction was technically illegal, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm all for people having access to pornography, but
you got to comply with the laws.
If it's there, fine, okay, whatever.
Right.
Someone will have their porn printed someplace else.
Right.
But something so innocuous.
Yeah.
Right.
It just features stories about gay people, and they're like, no!
That hurts my religious feelings.
No! We won't do it.
I refuse to be a part of this.
Apparently,
you're not saying it. You are the printer. You are the means by which this publication goes
Nobody
out.
will even know that you printed it.
Nobody cares that you printed it.
No.
Take the money.
Right, exactly. But no, interstate printing, and apparently when AL.com which is the news outlet that reported this, when they called to get a statement from the company, they hung up on them. But they did get the email in which they said, as the magazine expresses freedom of lifestyles, we must express our freedom by declining to print on the principle that we are a Christian company that does not adhere to the content.
No, you're not a Christian company.
Yeah, you're Christian people who run a company. Now, mind you, they are a Christian company in the sense that they post their scripture posted on their webpage and blah, blah, blah. But no, look,
If you're
America,
for-profit,
get
open
it
for
together.
business.
That's not how business works.
Right. Now, if you filed some other crap, you're technically a religious printer.
Yeah.
Legitimately, that's the business that you're in.
If you've got a 501c3 rolling and you're
Fine.
you're not for profit and you're
fine. The message that you're willing to print, okay, I guess there's something there. Right? But if you're fucking for profit, family owned or otherwise enterprise, sorry guys,
bullshit. We're calling bullshit.
Take the money.
Yeah.
It's business.
Yeah.
Anyway. Well, Dan.
Yeah.
Strangely enough, completely unplanned.
Oh.
Right? My story has to do with religious exemptions as well.
Oh my goodness. It's almost like it's a theme of the show.
Do you remember this really nasty religious exemption rule that would have let doctors not help LGBTQ people? The Trump administration announced back in, I think, May.
Yeah. I do.
It's the Department of
they
Health
could
and
also,
Human Services.
They could also
came out with this.
not help with abortions, so it's good for everybody.
Yeah. U.S. District Court Judge William Alsup has made a summary judgment that the denial of care rule cannot stand. It has been struck down.
Yeah.
The rule had been challenged in court by the city and county of San Francisco. Alsup joins now 3 other judges who have rejected the rule.
Yeah.
And like you say, it would have allowed discrimination based on a healthcare provider's opinion on abortion. And Alsup, this is interesting. He's in his finding or his ruling, whatever. He said that while he does not accept all the plaintiff's criticisms, he says when a rule is so saturated with error as here, there's no point in trying to sever the problematic provisions.
Right.
The whole rule must go.
Wow.
He gives the example of a patient in the middle of an emergency being denied service by medics.
Yeah.
Under the new rule, to preview just one example, an ambulance driver would be free on religious or moral grounds to eject a patient en route to a hospital upon learning that the patient needed an emergency abortion.
Yeah.
That would have been completely within their rights.
Yeah. Lord help you if you get a Jehovah's Witness for a medical professional. You fucking can't even have a. They could deny you a transfusion.
I wonder how many of those there are, though. Yeah. But anyway, such harsh treatment would be blessed by the new law, he says. So this is fascinating. It's 3 judges in 2 weeks who have all ruled the same way.
Right.
The rule would have gone into effect just, I believe, yesterday.
Yeah.
So there was no time to spare on getting this struck down.
Right.
Now, of course, the administration can appeal and keep pushing.
And send it to their court.
Yeah, to the Supreme Court.
Where they've packed the house as best they can. We'll see.
It will be interesting.
It'll be fascinating to see how this court...
This one is so nasty.
It's so nasty and so wrong.
I bet you anything the Supreme Court actually just doesn't.
It's hard to know. It's hard to know.
They only need 4 of them, and they probably have those 4 votes. But
assuming we can keep Ginsburg alive.
Oh, Jesus Christ, I know. Yeah. Anyway, so I thought that was just a good on the judge.
Yeah.
But also, funny that lined up with yours.
There you go. I'm going to take us to Florida now.
Okay.
We'll close it out in Florida, where the Flagler County School... Flagler. I don't know how you say it. Anyway, that county school board...
Okay.
They recently had a lovely moment at the beginning of a school board meeting where, without any announcement or any explanation, a person came out and just started praying.
It was not announced.
Pastor Janine Klontz apparently just walked out, told everyone to bow their heads, and began praying as they began their school year.
So as to try to make it appear that it was spontaneous prayer.
Yeah, like
this had not been coordinated.
Or to make it appear like this is what we've always done. Don't worry about it. We always have this. Everybody bow your heads. It's just how we do it. Apparently, they were just trying to... The school board's chair, one Janet McDonald, apparently was just trying to start a new tradition. Just get it going. It would be, of course, a not legal tradition. And this is different. A school board is actually different than like a city council or whatever. Apparently, it hasn't been upheld by courts that this would be permissible.
At a school board?
At a school board.
Why would it be different? It's an elected body.
I don't know, because schooling is different.
Yeah, fair enough.
Anyway, the practice suddenly was it was decided that it needed to be voted on. It couldn't just be kind of slid in.
Oh, yeah.
However, it was voted down.
Oh,
And in part because somebody Googled it and realized that Satanists love to kind of bring their shit into there. And
that's really specifically.
Yeah, she was like, go ahead and Google it because, y'all,
this is a can of worms.
These people will come and will demand that they get to say the prayer. And that means we're inviting Satan into our schools. So it was voted down.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I only want to bring this up because it's working, Satanists.
Yeah.
So
keep doing it.
Satanic Temple, we need you now
more than ever.
You are not the heroes Gotham wants, but you're the heroes we need. So God bless them. Oh, I do love the Satanic Temple. And the other Satanists, Satanic Temple's the one they're working extra hard on these issues.
Right.
But any Satanist that can scare the bejesus out of the Christians and make them give up trying to turn this into a fucking theocracy.
Right.
Good on you.
Right.
You're doing the Lord's work.
Yeah, it's so funny. They'll grit their teeth and sit through some, prayer from a imam or a Hindu or whatever, right? But they will not tolerate
extra
Satanist.
Spooky about a Satanist. The word "Hail Satan" ringing through over the microphone is more than they can bear. I do love it. So there you go. It's working. It's almost to the point. It's not to this point yet. I think people should definitely give strong, hard, good money to like ACLU, FUFRF, and whatever. But you might want to give some to the Satanic Temple too. They're doing good work out there.
Truly doing the Dark Lord's work.
All right. Well, there's more to come, but if you want to write to us about anything that you've heard on the show, please feel free to do so. You can write to us at podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or you can call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yeah, hey, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and see what's going on there.
And while you're on there, search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge and request to join. It is a closed group, but we will let you in.
Yep.
Hey, Dan.
Hey!
Pat Robertson, I think he feels like the end is nigh for him. he's on a roll.
He has started. He's listen to him. I don't know if you heard it, but I heard it. He's starting to get a little sloppy in his enunciation.
Yeah. No, this man's old.
He's got old man lateral lip now.
Yeah.
A little splashy.
Yeah, he's also dressed like Carl Sagan.
Oh my God, he is dressed in a maroon cable knit sweater, like turtleneck sweater.
Yeah,
and
with a brown sort of
tartan plaid blazer over top. He looks great.
Oh yeah,
and
sharp.
And I'll tell you what else is sharp. That mind of his.
Oh, he's got it all figured out. Well, Dan, he's had this whole transgender issue on his mind.
He doesn't know what to think about these trans people.
But I think he might have cracked it.
They're listen. They're cutting off their ding-dongs and he doesn't know what to do about it.
Oh God.
And it's making him crazy. And I think he's figured out why it's happening.
All right, let's just hear it.
It's almost as if there's a satanic move to keep people from having children. There's a move, of course, to have abortion on demand. So we've killed about 60 million unborn babies in our society. And the consequences of that to the women who've had these abortions is very profound. Now the devil has found a new way to keep people from bearing young in the image of God, and to think that these people will then be permanently neutered. They will not be able to be married, to have successful families. They won't have children to look after them in their old age. I mean, they're throwing away their whole future on this nonsense that comes about in this politically correct environment. And to think that we're allowing this to happen, I commend these mothers who are fighting for this, but to think that a doctor has got to go undercover and be anonymous in order to speak out against this thing because she would lose her position as a medical professional if she spoke out against what is now the political move. We cannot allow this to happen in our country, ladies and gentlemen. It is an attack of the enemy against human beings. God says, be fruitful and multiply and subdue the earth and possess it. Be fruitful and multiply. But the devil says, oh no, you're creating boys and girls, young babies in the image of God, and we won't permit that. So we are just a bunch of suckers buying into a lie, and it just breaks your heart to see it happen.
In the image of God.
Yeah, he's either got braces or has passed a certain mile marker in his
Let me tell you
old age.
something. They're throwing away their whole future.
Where have I heard that before? You're throwing away your future.
I just think it's amazing that, like, making a decision about like your gender identity and who you actually are and then conforming to that is throwing away your future. Not having children is what he's referencing there.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't have children, how do you even have a future? How do you even consider yourself a human?
Well,
Frank,
Dan.
me, I don't have children. Oh my God, I've thrown away my future. Frank,
It's like everyone I know.
where's my future?
I don't know.
Where are they?
I mean, I hate to say it because I'm sure a lot of our listeners have kids. Your future is bright.
Oh my God, I love my future. You have no idea how happy I am not to have children. Oh, I mean, it's great. Like, I have nothing against parenthood.
Right.
Except for me.
Right.
Like,
right.
I don't want parenthood. For me, I love my life. I just got back from Mexico. Would I have gone if I had had kids? Probably not. Like,
Right.
not on that trip. I
Right.
would go on trips, but it would just be a totally different thing.
Well, I mean, then it's family vacation.
Yeah.
It's not a nice,
doesn't-
enjoyable trip.
That sounds...
You're taking your kids on a trip with you so that they can have a formative experience.
Right.
And that's
a
how
good-
you justify it in your mind.
Right, right. And you have to justify
Because
it.
you're not going to have a good time.
And also you've got all of these expenditures and whatever, and
Yeah.
so, like, unless you're wealthy, it's a decision
Yeah.
to take your family on a vacation.
Yeah. Yeah.
I went on a vacation because it was, oh, look, there's a deal online. Click,
Right.
click, click. I'm just going to spontaneously go there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like back to this nasty clip.
Oh, my God.
And like, I mean, first of all, like some need to replenish the earth. The earth is replenished.
Oh.
The earth is full.
Yeah, when God said multiply and replenish the earth, there were what? Couple million people, 10 million people on the
Maybe.
whole
Yeah,
planet?
somewhere around there.
We done replenished it.
We're fine.
It's plenty.
We're fine. We're not in trouble of like running out of people anytime
Yeah.
soon. There are plenty of kids in the world.
There
are too many kids in the world.
We have 8,000 million people on the earth right now.
Yeah.
We're going to be okay.
Yeah.
The human race is fine.
Yeah.
Stop having so many goddamn kids.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Also, I love the idea that that trans people having surgery to make their to sort of confirm their gender identity
Right.
is a political move. He called that the political move. You know, it's just politics of the day.
Right.
Frankly, you and I aren't very liberal because we haven't chosen a different gender identity and had the surgery that then confirms it.
Oh my God. Yeah, it couldn't possibly be that people are, that they're, acknowledging who they are, who
Right.
they've always known themselves to be.
Yeah.
and now they're just trying to conform their body to that feeling.
Right.
And even if they like, you don't even have to go through the surgery, right? Like, some people don't feel the need. They just switch their pronouns and switch their mode of dress. And like,
and whose business is that?
It's
but theirs.
It's solely theirs,
and it's not a political identity whatsoever. Oh my God, it's so funny. It's so funny. Anyway, we have some folks who've written into us, who have called us. Yeah. We've got some folks.
Yeah, we have it all, Dan.
We've got it all, baby. Look, we're bringing you the goods here, people. Lucy wrote into us. Hey, Frank and Dan. Love your show so much. I just wanted to share some personal insight into polygamy, or more specifically, polyamory. Last week, Frank, you and I talked about the marrying of many people,
right?
Or like at least the having of many people
as a possible,
right,
and the acceptance of it as a possible solution to this whole polygamy thing,
right? Lucy says you're totally right about multiple marriages being messy, legally speaking, but I think it's sad that monogamy has been so forced upon our society as if it's law rather than personal decision. I truly think that if more people were open to the idea and able to have that conversation with their spouse or partner, less relationships would fail. I think a lot of people are lying to themselves by trying to be with one person for their entire life. The stigma is that if you're poly, it's because you're unhappy or bored with your partner. That's so false. A healthy polyamorous relationship just takes honesty, trust, and open communication.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm on board with that. I have some friends who they got married 25 years ago.
Okay.
And have been poly from the beginning.
Oh.
And they have kids, and and they're doing great, going strong, happy,
nice
people.
Yeah.
It doesn't work for everybody.
No.
But like I think the whole point is the concept of a single relationship model working for everybody is ridiculous.
Right.
And I also, I will take issue with one thing that Lucy said.
Oh.
Which is that she says, that she talks about a relationship failing. And frankly, I don't see the ending of a relationship as a failure. I think that's another thing we need to get away from in this society is that, if the relationship ends, it has failed. I think this concept of relational permanence is something we can let go of. We can just sort of gently send it down the river, because frankly, a relationship can be beautiful and last 10 years or last 5 years or last however long it lasts, and then be done.
A couple hours sometimes.
Some of the best ones, let me tell you. That was a great relationship. I don't remember her name. I want to say Susie? No, that's not right. But it was great. Best 14 hours of both of our lives. I think she lives in Phoenix. I'm not sure.
All right. There you go.
Yeah. I just think the whole concept of, hey, we have figured out how human relating works for everybody.
Right. Well, it's the imposition of your ideals onto other people where it gets a problem,
and the model that you think is good.
Yeah, like if I think it's the whole, as long as you ain't hurting anybody, right? Like go do your thing is just fine. And then she's right. The legal aspect of it is messy.
Yeah.
If there's enough support for it to get messy, fine, great. Let's have that discussion.
Get messy.
If it's not an issue, then it's not an issue.
If it doesn't need to be a legal thing,
then it doesn't need to be a legal thing. If it needs to be a legal thing, then
ain't nobody's business but your own. Right. I mean, I do like the idea of making at least decriminalizing everything.
Absolutely.
So that all adults,
yes,
can practice whatever it is that they're practicing out in the open for everybody, in front of everybody, so that we can make sure it's out in the open.
Practice in front of everybody.
Yeah.
That's what we need.
Yeah.
We need...
Get out there and...
We need it on display.
No, right? you poly people, God bless you, you don't need to display quite so much. You can talk about it a little bit less.
Really?
Oh, they're like the vegans. They just can't. You just can't shut them up about. If you happen to mention anything that's even regarding human beings being in love with each other, they'll just go on and on. They're as bad as atheists, frankly. You can't shut them up.
Well, when you found the thing that has made you happy,
Yeah.
that's made you feel whole and complete, right?
Especially when it bucks societal trends.
Yeah, like you kind
of want to shout it from the rooftops.
you preach it a little.
I get it.
Right?
I get it. Just calm down. Everybody just calm down a little bit.
Oh my God!
Says the guy who started a podcast about atheism. I get it.
Right? Yeah, that's very convenient, Dan. That you're in a position to say that. All right, should we listen to a voicemail?
Yeah.
Okay, so essentially my whole setup for this voicemail, it's just this. Stay tuned, everybody, for the TGIA
Story
Poetry Hour.
Yeah.
Hey, Frank and Dan. This is Anna from Provo, Utah, and I wrote a poem that I thought you guys might enjoy. It's called The Lord's Work. Come now, elder, let's serve the Lord. What better way than going door to door? We'll seek out the souls that the Lord has prepared, the poor and the lonely, the sick and the scared. The Spirit, dear elder, it's guiding us there. This contact is perfect, widowed, gray-haired. Ma'am, we're God's messengers with great news to tell. Unless you are baptized, you're going to hell. Here is where Moroni's promise is found. No, ma'am, it's foolproof. That logic's not round. Join us this Sunday for a 3-hour meeting. Where members will meet you with fake happy greetings. You'll learn about God, who's never that far. He lives right on Kolob. It's a magical star. Why, your husband will one day get one of his own, and you'll live among sister wives, never alone. The temple is waiting if you do what it takes. You will get to play dress-up with secret handshakes. It's all very easy. It's really quite funny. Just give all of your time and 1/10 of your money. I'm not interested, ma'am, why begging your pardon? Your soul is too weak, and your heart has been hardened. Despite your rejection, we won't claim defeat, for here at your door we shake the dust from our feet. Come now, elder, it's time to move on. There's not much to do with a soul this far gone. Chin up, my dear elder, we can still meet our goals, for the world is still littered with gullible souls. Love you guys. Bye.
Anna, well done.
Cute.
That's cute. We like it.
For those of you who may not have been all the way on board, our listeners probably understand that this is about Mormon missionaries.
Oh, yeah.
Elders.
Oh, yeah.
The word elder refers to a 19-year-old.
Yeah.
Who's out there in the world trying to teach us all about how the world works. Thanks, elder. You're
Yeah.
so elderly.
So wise. Share your wisdom with me.
With me, teenage boy.
I honestly feel like this would be perfect for like a story hour type reading, right? Like I sort of illustrated.
Yes.
This would be lovely as an illustrated book.
Yes.
It'd be very fun.
Very fun. That's very cute. Do we have some folks to thank?
We do, Dan.
Hurrah!
We do. As we said at the beginning
I
of
always
the
get
show.
so nervous if I ask that question. What if you say
Clearly,
no?
we hit a goal, Dan.
Oh, we did. We already talked about that.
And so we have 3 new faithful listeners.
Okay.
Rick, Lucy, and Renee.
Hooray for you 3.
Thank you so much to the 3 of you. And then we have a duo that's coming in as a set of venerable listeners.
Oh, okay.
It's Dave and Shay. They're on the same account. So
okay.
Dave and Shay.
Dave and Shay.
And so thanks to the 2 of you for supporting us at the venerable level. And then, of course, as always, we have our Lord and Savior, our top donor, David!
Yay, David. You guys are... Davis. Okay, I didn't let you finish the final consonant
you just
sound.
jumped right in there. Well, thank you, guys. And we hit our goal, so even better.
Yeah, so that's our 3/4 goal. We're almost there. It's the final stretch, kids.
We need, at this point, as we are recording, we need 24 people to come forward.
That's 24 net, mind you.
Yeah.
People drop out. People, so you know, we got to account for all of the droppings out, and then the. But we're almost there.
But they don't know who each other are. We just need 24.
We just need 24 more.
Yeah.
I'm saying we probably need more than 24.
All right.
We'll get there.
Well, and if you'd like to join them, once again, super quick, thankgodimatheist.com. Click on the support tab.
Yeah.
Dan,
Yeah.
nudity.
We promised titties.
And titties you'll have.
We shall deliver. This is an audio format. Damn it. All right.
Oh, no. So just imagine.
So,
everyone.
yes, everyone close your eyes and just picture some boobs.
So this is how I remember the story going down.
Okay.
When I read this article a few weeks ago.
Okay.
A woman and her husband, right, came in from doing some work in the yard or something along those sorts, and they were sort of hot and sweaty and needed to get out of their dirty clothes, and sort of in sort of a non-closed off part of the house, maybe a mud room or something along those lines. She's disrobing.
Yeah.
Right? They're both disrobing.
Yeah.
But she ends up being topless.
Both of them are.
Both of them are topless.
Right.
And she doesn't have her bra on anymore.
Right.
And his kids, her
Right.
stepkids, come into the space.
Ages
that they're
9,
in,
10, and 13.
and she decides that she's not going to make a big deal about her nudity.
Yeah, she's not going to like rush and cover herself.
Right.
up.
Because she has nothing to be ashamed of. It's a family setting.
And she uses it as a teachable moment.
Right.
She just says, look, this is no big deal. Bodies are just bodies. Mm-hmm. We're all family here.
Right.
There's, you know, and so she does that. She doesn't like dance around or anything.
Right.
Nothing, or, you know, nothing sexual happens or anything crazy like that. And then they all go on with their business. But then the kids, like little snitches that they are, go and tell their mom about it.
Right.
And she gets very uncomfortable.
Right. And probably doesn't like these two either.
Right. She probably
doesn't
has some feelings about the stepmom and whatever, and sees a way to get her in trouble. I don't know. Who knows what the deal is on that? We shouldn't question her motives. All we should say is
the motives are plain and obvious.
all we should say is shut up.
Yeah.
So now this is the thing's playing itself out in court.
Right.
Because this
She got
woman
charged with lewdness.
Several counts of lewdness, for her kids, her stepkids walking in on her. Now, of course, the dad, who was also topless in the room and also didn't dive behind a sofa when the children came in.
Right.
He's of course not charged with anything because male nipples aren't lewd, but girl nipples are attached to bosoms. And those, I mean, I've seen some men with
men with bosoms.
with titties. Let's be real about it. But there's a difference.
Right.
No one can really tell you what it is, but there's a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. So lewdness involving a child, which is a Class A misdemeanor, could potentially, were she convicted, put her on a sex offenders list.
Oh God.
Like that kind of shit can happen. Now here's the thing. Recently there was a case that went through from Fort something in Colorado, Fort somewhere in Colorado, that went to the circuit court, the federal court, about a woman in public whose breasts were bared in public.
Right.
And that court basically just said, it's okay.
Right.
It's fine for a woman to show her breasts in public. And the city decided not to pursue it beyond that, meaning that everywhere in that court's jurisdiction,
Which we are in.
yeah, makes it legal for women to bare their breasts in public. Now, this
Right.
didn't happen in public, so it's possible that it could still not be considered legal because it was in private, which that's insanity.
Adds a level of absurdity to the whole thing.
Right.
It's
But I think
extra special. But even the thing that I heard though about this particular, ruling that quote unquote made it legal within our, district,
right.
is that they basically also said, legal experts said, don't go running out and testing this quite yet.
Yeah.
Like, it's not completely 100% solid that women can walk around in public with
Right.
topless without consequences.
Right. And I mean, don't go testing it if you don't want to end up in court.
Well, exactly.
Because you might some activists may want to end up in court with it, and that's
Right.
great. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Get them titties
Go
out.
for it.
But yeah, I mean, this is one of those moments where it's just what our discussion is about on a larger sense is how crazy it is to say that there's anything lewd about the human
being
body
nude.
in general.
Yeah.
Like the concept of it being lewd, like it's just this puritanical streak that has been part of the United States since white folk got to this continent.
Right.
And it's madness. It's just insane to say that there's anything lewd about the human body.
It's pretty lewd.
I mean, a lot of them are a little bit gross,
Yeah.
but just keep your hygiene up. That's all I'm asking. That's not body shaming. That's just you got to keep
Just take a bath.
if you got the fungus on your toenails, you don't wear the sandals. That's all I'm asking.
Oh, you're fungus shaming.
I'm fungus shaming for sure.
Dan. Oh,
Well, it's not a shame that you have the fungus. It's not your fault. But don't make me look at those yellow toenails. I don't need to see that. All I'm saying is,
Dan, you're the worst.
I am the worst. But the madness that it takes, the mental cartwheels that you have to go through to say that this body that we all have, like, it's okay on the wall of an art gallery. Not very okay, but it's okay for a kid to see a nude painting.
Right.
But if it's a real person who's not doing anything sexual,
Right.
holy shit, what are you doing?
Right.
That's immoral. Where does that even come from? I don't know. It's just kind of nutty. I mean, it goes back a ways because I don't know if you've read that first book in the Bible, but the whole thing is about, like, apparently the first two people found out that they were naked and realized that that was a sin just to be naked. It wasn't a sin until they ate the fruit.
Right.
They were there the whole time doing it, and God was totally fine with them being naked.
Well, and the word shame actually enters the discussion, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't it talk about
They were ashamed.
they were ashamed.
Not someone told them to be ashamed.
Right.
They ate the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil.
Yeah.
And apparently showing your body,
Right.
walking around with it naked fell into the evil category.
Right.
The fuck are you talking about?
Wasn't that an interesting thing, though, that before... Anyway, I don't want to get into it. I don't want to get into any of that because it's so dumb.
I'm no nudist. It's
Right.
not like it's not like I'm looking for opportunities to be naked in front of people. But I don't care if you are. Like, there are all these nudist colonies and nudist camps, and you and I have both been to Burning Man, where there's a lot of naked people walking
Jesus
around.
Christ, no kidding.
And it's like, what's funny is, when you haven't experienced it, I remember thinking about it before I went to Burning Man and just thinking, like, will I just be turned on by all of these naked women walking around or whatever? Like, you don't fucking even, you're shocked the first 2 or 3 times you see it.
Right.
Because it's new.
Right.
And then it's just this thing that's happening around you.
Yeah.
You don't even notice it.
Yeah. You do get very used to it, and then you run into somebody
And yeah, and then you're like, oh,
And then
well,
it's like, oh.
I guess that's what
I'm
you
not-
look like naked.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah. I've been mostly naked on stages in front of people. I've never
Yeah.
been fully naked, but there have been moments, I auditioned for a part that would have had me fully naked.
Oh, really?
Didn't get that role. I really kind of wanted it, not because I wanted to be naked, but because I liked how it was written. It was a really well-written role. It was a lot of
okay.
fun.
Yeah.
But like, that's still legal.
Yeah.
It's legal to be naked on stage, and it's legal to, have kids go to that show.
Yeah.
So
Context matters.
apparently so. Wow. It is crazy how much context, like in the privacy of your own home behind closed doors, but children.
Yeah. Bad.
It's just, I
Bad.
I feel like we need to be confronting people about where they think that line is drawn and why they think it's drawn at all. Why there is a line at all. Because people harass breastfeeding mothers.
That's obscene.
It is obscene.
It's truly obscene.
the whole thought that like
Why is she doing that?
right? It's obscene that she's out there breastfeeding her child.
No, it's like, come on. It's such a basic act.
Yeah.
A basic
It is the most
thing.
fundamental thing a human can do.
Most likely you did it as a child,
Yeah.
right?
That is a mammal feeding its young.
Yeah.
That is how we work. It is the most basic thing we have.
Yeah.
And yet, cover it up. We should start to ask people to cover up their eating. Ma'am, you are eating in public. Could you just cover that up, please? I'm just going to hang this napkin over your face.
Seriously though,
I would like you to eat under it.
When you see some people eat though.
I know. Some people are gross eaters.
Actually, I just need ear plugs sometimes. Stop it!
I said I was sorry, Frank. Jeez.
Eat slurp quietly.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's just bizarre. Like how distant we need to be from the most fundamental things that are just
The
human.
realities
Yeah.
of human life.
It's insane.
Yeah. Well,
Well, there you go. I don't know. If you guys have a broader or differing perspective on this, if some of our listeners may disagree with us on this point, and I'm open to that. I would love to hear from you. Please,
shame.
Please shame us about
Shame.
it. Write into us, podcast at thankgodimatheist.com is the email address.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yep. Hey, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and click that like button.
And while you're there, search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge and request to join. We'll let you in.
Yep. And speaking of Facebook, thanks so much to Mackenzie for all of her work on the Facebook page. Thanks to Amy and Danny for moderating the Members Only Lounge.
And a big thanks goes out to Gordon Johnston and to the Red Rock Hot Club for the use of their music.
And thank you, all of you, listeners, friends,
Supporters.
for tuning in. Oh, especially our patrons. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Love ya.
Bye-bye.